I'm Jo Ann Emerson. I'm from the 8th District of Missouri. Well, let me give an example of my own experience. After I graduated from college and I worked here in Washington, D.C. for a year, I actually went and lived and worked in France. And nobody in France would have ever expected me to not learn French. It was just the way it was. I live in another country, and therefore it's my responsibility to learn the language of the country in which I was living. And while I wasn't great at it, I still was able to communicate, and I believed that was what I had to do in order to participate in the community and actually do my job. And so I think it makes perfect sense for people who aren't American, whose native language isn't English, to come to the United States and learn our language. You assimilate much better in the society. If in fact you want to really be part of your communities and to further yourself in a career, it's very, very important to learn the language that we speak here in the United States. And there isn't any doubt in my mind that that's what we need to promote. Obviously, in certain situations where you have a medical emergency, sometimes you would speak your native language, but government should be run in English. People should have to take a driver's test in English. Forms should be filled out in English instead of an array of maybe 20 different languages. You should fill out your tax reform. You should fill out your tax returns in English. And I mean, to me, it's common sense, and it's very, very important. And certainly I'm very proud to be a co-sponsor of HR 997, and I think that the entire United States would be much better off if we did in fact make this our official language. Rather than segregate people by what language they speak, I think it is much more important for assimilation purposes, and if you want to be a contributing member of our American communities, then you really need to learn the language. And I look back on all of the immigrants who came over. My grandparents were German. They came over in the 1800s, and they learned to speak English. All the children speak English, and that's the way it was then, and there's no need to change it now. Of course, the most important thing to do is talk to your individual Congress people, and to then talk to your United States senators and encourage them to sign on to legislation, and not only to sign on to the different bills, but to try to talk with committee chairmen to get these bills heard on the floor of the Senate or the floor of the House. And I think that's very important, and I would bet overwhelmingly that more than 60% of the American public believes very strongly that English should be the official language, and that it's our responsibility in Congress to make it so.